I haven't done a film review in a long time, so I'm gonna talk about The Dark Knight. Many famous films have come out of my hometown of Chicago. This one is by far the truest to the city's values. What are those values? Crime, corruption, image above all. Our skyline is the best in the United States, possibly the best in the world. Chris Nolan is a director with many pluses and minuses. He takes each film in a different direction, and that's what scarred the Dark Knight trilogy. But for this video, I'm only going to focus on The Dark Knight because I believe it is a masterpiece, better than The Godfather. Why? For starters, The Godfather is a film that clearly glorifies organized crime. As a descendant of Sicilian immigrants, I can relate to this worldview. The Mafia were known to have funded this film to give themselves a superior image in the opportune moment of the 1970s, the collapse of old Hollywood. I still enjoy the Godfather trilogy, all of them, but if you ask my opinion of them, having viewed them multiple times, I'd have to fall in the camp of massively overrated. Of course I'm biased. Every critic is. Don't be fooled. The Dark Knight is a film that appeared in my consciousness at my most impressionable time, when I was about 12 and just getting into edgy boy shit. And this was one of those rare films that every generation of my family would watch on repeat. I valued that sentiment. Growing up in a dysfunctional family, my only escape was cinema, and I made every attempt to expose my family to films that I thought they would appreciate. Obviously, I was wrong about Ingmar Bergman and Akira Kurosawa. Shit, even Martin Scorsese was controversial. Goddamn conservatives. But The Dark Knight was a notable exception. When I first saw this film in theaters, of course it blew my mind. I grew up on the original Spider-Man trilogy, precursor to be sure, but plagued with that old Sam Raimi goofiness. Chris Nolan, conversely, is a really serious guy. He's a British I don't hold any of his other films in the regard that I do The Dark Knight, which brings me to my main query. Is The Dark Knight a film that wasn't necessarily crafted by an auteur, a genius director with an unbeatable track record such as Scorsese or Tarantino, but crafted more by the circumstances it was put in as a big Hollywood production? Nolan has made it clear he was inspired by the films of Michael Mann, notably Heat, great film. Though that film was set in LA, Mann is a Chicagoan through and through, which, believe it or not, is a unique position in Hollywood, at least as far as name recognition. Heath Ledger's performance as the Joker is so good, it's hard to see him in another role. Brokeback Mountain was his only other performance that even comes close to this level of acting, and most people won't even watch that because it's gay.
Ha! Gay!
Christian Bale, believe it or not, is not my favorite Batman. That would be Michael Keaton. I personally love the Tim Burton Batman movies, particularly Batman Returns. But here's the thing. The Dark Knight is not a Batman movie. When you think about it, it's a crime drama. It has stakes that belong in the real world, the modern world. For fuck's sake, there's multiple terrorist attacks, a bank robbery, elite cocktail parties being raided, police being killed, and here's the kicker that I noticed on like the 10th viewing. Most of the victims in this movie that die happen to be black. I don't know if this was intentional, but count them. The look of the film is unique. The editing of the film is unique. It's not absolutely perfect, but it's damn close, especially for a mainstream blockbuster Hollywood film. Shit, even The Lord of the Rings, which won 11 Oscars, had a couple scenes that were just laughable. The Dark Knight did not win those Oscars other than Heath Ledger posthumously, who gives a shit. The vibe of the film is irreplicable. It examines each character as a thoroughly flawed and corrupt individual, even the good guys. Lieutenant Gordon is a cuck. Bruce Wayne is a political pawn of the establishment. Harvey Dent is literally a two-faced politician. Even Rachel, probably the least effective character in the film, is caught in a love triangle that literally cost her her life. Gee, I wonder what dirt she had on those two guys. In closing, I'm not exactly breaking ground here by calling this film a masterpiece. Great action set pieces with practical effects, which you never see nowadays. But it's also a sly character study, as well as a statement on anarchy and the collapse of society that rings truer than something like Fight Club. Unfortunately, the follow-up would be nowhere near as good, and the previous film doesn't really have any weight to it either. They're entertaining enough, but meh. Anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments. Jake Jones, stay winning or stay tripping, fuckface.